Ed Gein's name is deeply etched into American criminal lore, though many assume he was a prolific murderer, primarily because of rumors, media hype, and the disturbing items found in his home. The historical record only ties him definitively to 2 murders. Nevertheless, his case has taken on a life of its own, inspiring fictional characters such as Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and aspects of Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs. Exploring Ed Gein's story requires sifting through a complex mix of verified facts, local legends, psychological insights, and societal fears. The result is a cautionary tale about the power of isolation, mental illness, and the unsettling extremes a human being can reach when cut off from conventional social structures. Edward Theodore Gein was born on August 27, 1906, in La Crosse County, Wisconsin. His father, George Gein, was known to be an alcoholic who struggled to hold down steady employment. His mother, Augusta, held fervent religious beliefs and viewed the outside world with deep suspicion. She regularly preached about sin, moral decay, and the evils of lust to her sons, Edward and Henry. Augusta's stern demeanor shaped Ed's worldview from an early age. She was the dominant force within the family, emphasizing personal morality while disparaging most of society's, especially other women. She kept her children socially isolated, believing that nearly all external influences were immoral or dangerous. When George Gein's drinking created more conflict, Augusta's resentment toward him only grew, further destabilizing the home environment. Outside of his mother's presence, Ed was often described as shy and awkward. Classmates recalled that he spoke in a soft, halting manner. Augusta's teachings cultivated in Ed a deep confusion about human relationships and sexuality. As he grew older, his social isolation intensified. Ed's older brother, Henry, died under somewhat mysterious circumstances in 1944 when a brush fire the two were tending got out of control. By the time authorities reached the scene, Henry was found dead. Some suspected foul play due to conflicting details in Ed's account, but no conclusive evidence tied him to his brother's death. The matter was ultimately ruled an accident. Just a year later, Augusta died in 1945 after a series of strokes. Losing the controlling matriarch left Ed utterly unmoored. His mother had been his moral compass, and with her gone, he inherited the family farm and continued to live there alone. Many criminologists argue that this was the turning point in Ed Gein's life. Isolated on the farm without the only person he deeply cared for, his mental health deteriorated. After Augusta's death, Ed rarely ventured beyond the Plainfield area. When he did, he took on odd jobs, handyman tasks, occasional babysitting gigs, providing just enough income to survive. Locals regarded him as peculiar, but mostly harmless. He had a reputation for quiet politeness. Despite his odd mannerisms, people in town would sometimes jest about his eccentricities, not suspecting the extent of his troubled state. Over the years, townspeople occasionally whispered about odd nocturnal activity around Ed's property, strange lights, unusual sounds, or unexplained digging. Yet, in a small rural community, these anecdotes were often dismissed as idle gossip. No one could foresee the grim discoveries that would eventually come to light. After Ed Gein's eventual arrest, authorities discovered evidence of tampered graves and personal artifacts made from human remains in his home. According to Gein's own statements to investigators, he made nocturnal trips to local cemeteries soon after his mother's death, targeting recently buried individuals who resembled Augusta in some way. While not all of Gein's confessions could be independently verified, enough physical evidence existed to confirm that he had indeed desecrated graves and taken body parts back to his home. During the investigation, police discovered items in Gein's farmhouse crafted from human skin and bones. Out of respect for YouTube's guidelines, the exact nature of these items will not be detailed, but their existence shocked the community and the nation. These revelations fueled the rumor that Gein was behind several unsolved disappearances. leading to a cloud of speculation about how many people he might have victimized. Despite the macabre evidence found at his property, only 2 homicides were directly connected to Ed Gein. Mary Hogan, 1954. Mary Hogan ran a tavern in Pine Grove, near Plainfield. In December 1954, she vanished. Investigators discovered signs of a violent struggle, including blood, but her disappearance remained a mystery for several years. Locals noted that Ed Gein would occasionally make cryptic jokes about Hogan's whereabouts. No one took him seriously until evidence later linked him to her death. Bernice Worden, 1957. Bernice Worden ran a hardware store in Plainfield. On November 16, 1957, she also went missing. The store's cash register was found empty, and a receipt showed Gein had been her final customer of the day. When Bernice's son, Frank Worden, a deputy sheriff, pointed to Gein as a suspect, authorities searched the farmhouse. There, they found irrefutable proof of Bernice Worden's murder, as well as evidence confirming Mary Hogan's fate. Why only 2 confirmed murders? Much of Gein's grisly reputation stems from the unsettling items discovered at his house. However, these objects largely came from grave robbing, rather than an extensive series of killings. Investigators did look into other missing person cases, but were unable to establish conclusive links to Gein. Despite widespread rumors, no additional murders were definitively attributed to him. Motives: a psychology of horror, mother fixation, and extreme guilt. Gein idolized his mother to the point where he may have tried to recreate her presence through the bodies he exhumed. Experts believe that a combination of intense loneliness, distorted views on womanhood, and a fractured psyche propelled him toward murder and grave robbing. Influence of isolation and mental illness. Following Augusta's death, Gein's mental health appears to have deteriorated. He lacked social ties, had no close friends or family, and was living in squalor. The psychological vacuum left by his mother's absence, coupled with his inability to form typical adult relationships, may have escalated his interest in the deceased, ultimately leading him to kill. Capture, trial, and institutionalization. Bernice Worden's disappearance and discovery. Bernice Worden's son, a local deputy, noticed his mother's absence and the empty cash register, immediately suspecting a robbery and possible kidnapping. The last receipt issued at the store indicated Ed Gein's name. This clue brought law enforcement directly to Gein's doorstep. Shocking farmhouse search. Upon searching Gein's property, police uncovered Bernice Worden's remains alongside numerous human body parts, repurposed as household items. The shocking nature of these findings made national headlines, turning Plainfield, Wisconsin, into a site of morbid curiosity. Legal proceedings. Initially, Gein was declared mentally incompetent to stand trial and was sent to Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, later transferred to Mendota Mental Health Institute. In 1968, after doctors deemed him fit for trial, Gein was found guilty of Bernice Worden's murder, but also ruled legally insane. This meant he would remain in a psychiatric institution rather than a traditional prison. Authorities did not bring him to trial for Mary Hogan's murder, despite strong evidence linking him to her death. Life at the Mental Health Institute. Reports from staff at Mendota Mental Health Institute indicate that Gein was a generally docile patient. He kept to himself, exhibited mild behavior, and rarely caused any incidents. He remained there for the rest of his life, passing away on July 26, 1984, from respiratory failure at age 77. Gein was buried in Plainfield Cemetery, the same cemetery he once raided for remains. Over the years, his headstone attracted vandals and souvenir seekers, leading to its eventual removal for safekeeping. The macabre curiosities surrounding Gein fueled decades of retellings, rumors, and fictional adaptations. His crimes heavily influenced horror cinema and crime literature. In popular culture, Ed Gein is often portrayed as a serial killer, with far more victims than verified. His true criminal acts were indeed horrific, but they primarily revolved around grave robbing and the confirmed killings of Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden. While rumors of additional murders persist, law enforcement never substantiated them beyond speculation and circumstantial gossip. It is crucial to acknowledge that while the public often fixates on sensational aspects of Gein's actions, two real lives, Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden, were tragically taken. Their families and the Plainfield community were forever changed by these crimes. Ed Gein's case underscores the importance of mental health awareness. While the vast majority of individuals with mental illness are not violent, an untreated, severe condition can lead to devastating outcomes. His story also invites reflection on the impact of extreme isolation and psychological trauma. The widespread rumors, media sensationalism, and fictional portrayals of Gein have at times overshadowed factual details. Presenting the truth with sensitivity helps ensure we do not inadvertently glamorize or exploit these dark events. Ed Gein remains an infamous figure in American criminal history, not due to a high number of proven murders, but rather the deeply disturbing nature of the crimes he did commit and the bizarre evidence discovered at his home. His life story is a somber testament to how extreme isolation and an untreated mental disorder can manifest in unimaginable ways. Thank you for joining me on this comprehensive exploration of Ed Gein's life. If you found this video or audio informative, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others who might be interested in a factual and respectful account of true crime history. Feel free to leave your thoughts or questions in the comments section below. Remember to stay curious, but also stay compassionate, especially when delving into the darker chapters of human behavior.